On the second day of the Facebook Advertising for e-commerce series, I'm going to be talking about budget and bidding. Do stay tuned. This episode is brought to you by Klaviyo. It is a game-changing email automation tool specifically built for scaling e-commerce businesses. I'm not just saying it. I use Klaviyo in my e-commerce store, and stores are Advice for. Household names in the e-commerce space such as Brooklyn Inn, Bonobos, and Chubbies use Klaviyo. Here's why. Klaviyo has one of the most impressive feature sets in the e-commerce email personalization space at the moment. Besides the one-click setup, Klaviyo's Pixel tracks visitor behavior to help you set up highly effective custom email funnels. Klaviyo also offers pre-built autoresponders for cart abandonment, upsells, and win-back campaigns. Klaviyo's most game-changing feature is its Facebook Audiences integration, which helps your email list to sync up with your Facebook ad campaigns. So as you continue to scale up your store, Klaviyo will help automate a lot more sales. Try Klaviyo today on klaviyo.com, spelled Klaviyo.com. With retail moving online, finding a good domain name has become ever so important. But the challenge is that most decent .com addresses are either difficult to acquire or unavailable. The good news is that retailers now have a powerful alternative with the .store domain name. The .store domain name will be short, relevant, and directly associate your site with e-commerce and retail. Search engines give .store domains the equal attention and importance as .com TLDs. .store domains have already been adapted by top brands such as Emirates. So if you check out Emirates.store, you get to a store there. Jimi Hendrix, so JimiHendrix.store, and F1 Formula One, F1.store. If you want a short and snappy domain name for your retail brand or your online store, you can now get a .store domain for just £4.99, which is about $6.99, using the coupon code 2XSTORE. That's 2XSTORE on get.store. Just go to get.store in your search engines and use 2XStore. Welcome to 2X eCommerce, the e-commerce marketing growth podcast where you ask questions and I, Kane, answers them. Also hear from proven marketing growth experts who are number one or number two in specialist areas of online retail marketing. So if you work in or own an online retail business, listen in, get involved, join me, and let's put some fuel to skyrocket your e-commerce growth.
So an inbound marketing strategist, how do you beat Amazon?
Natural search and our search engine position is critical to the customer flow through the website.
I personally would not have an account process interrupt checkout flow at all.
My favorite customer lifetime value calculation is an easy one. It's your average order value times that purchase frequency times your customer lifespan.
I'm Kane Campbell. Let's get rolling. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2X e-commerce podcast show, and I am hoping you enjoyed the first day on Monday, which was all around the pillars and audiences, just going down the second aspect of the pillar, or the key pillars you need for a quick solid foundation on Facebook advertising. Day 2 today is around budgeting your budget, your bid, and the ad auction, kind of understanding what you need to do, what I've seen work, what doesn't work, what Facebook tells you to do, just best practices all in all. So I would dig right down to it. So one of the key principles you kind of have to understand on Facebook is it is, pretty much an auction. It's an auction just like you have on Google AdWords or even eBay. You pretty much are competing with other advertisers based off of an auction. Now, when you're in the auction, Facebook kind of determines what's called I think it's called a total score. Or total value, rather. It's called a total value. And whoever gets the highest total value at that point in time will win the auction, which is pretty much an impression you get with a Facebook user. And that is how you get exposure with your ads. Now, Facebook has other aspects in which it determines what that total value is going to be. It has two major branches which would determine what the score is going to be, the total value score. But before I jump into that, you kind of have to have an understanding of like the Facebook, pretty much the campaign objectives. You largely have campaign objectives around awareness, the consideration, and the conversions, bit of Facebook. Now, if you are totally brand new to Facebook, I would say you work a lot on the consideration. Don't bother too much on the awareness bit. So in the awareness bit, you have like brand awareness, campaigns and reach campaigns. I would think that unless if you're a CPMG brand, consumer packaged goods brand, I don't really think you need a rich or a brand awareness campaign. What you need to be focusing on is more or less page post engagement, ads, and traffic ads to a large extent. If you're into e-commerce, now if like you have a bot, marketing sequence going, then you could also try messages. But all these are like consideration where you're trying to reach out to people. Now, when you started to get pixel data, the most important thing you want to start to do is start to look at conversions. And conversions, when you break down conversions, you have purchase, you have add to cart, initiate, checkout. Your entire funnel, basically your entire on-site, conversions funnel is on there in conversions. And best practice is to optimize for the conversion, the conversions you have the most data with. So let me give you an example. If you've been running an ad and you've got lots of add to cart, say you've got 1,000 add to carts and only 5 sales, Facebook recommends that you optimize for add to carts. There are ways around it in which you could essentially create a lookalike audience of all those events and focus on conversions next path of the funnel. Well, it's a general recommendation that try and optimize to that towards that conversion with the highest the one after the highest the highest conversion point that has a lot of data. But that aside, I just wanted us to kind of understand that you have campaign objectives, and pretty much regardless of your campaign objective, you're in an auction, and Facebook kind of normalizes all of the whatever campaign objective you are to what's called an effective CPM. So Facebook works on a CPM basis, which is a cost per 1,000 impressions. So it creates this effective CPM, which normalizes if like I was bidding for clicks versus someone who was bidding for like post engagement versus someone who was bidding for page likes versus someone who was bidding for purchase objectives. It normalizes this. And as I said, it gives that total value, total value in an ad auction, and whoever has the highest total value will win the auction at that point in time, and they will, they'd serve the ad. Now you're going to ask me, what are the two aspects, or what are these two aspects you were talking about with regards to winning the auction? So it's really broken down into, there's what I call the more technical, the technical aspects. So what I mean by the technical aspects basically is your bid, so it's pretty much your raw, your advertiser bid. Your advertiser bid, as I said, is normalized to what's called an eCPM, and that is kind of like fixed, So there's a method, so-called method in a manual bidding method, I'm going to talk about manual bidding later. A manual bidding method called the bully method, which pretty much propagates the use of, or taking, putting really high bids in when you are running your campaigns, when you're running your ad sets. And the philosophy behind it, the objective behind, this bully method is to outbid every other advertiser and, get the impressions that would expose you to the, best quality customers, to best quality potential customers. While this works, it doesn't always work, all of the time. But what I'm saying in essence is there's one side of the bid, which is more technical, advertiser side, where it is more about your bids. And then the second bit is more or less the user value. So there's the auction, there's the auction bit, and then there's user value. And the user value captures things like your ad quality, whether or not, the people your ads are reaching are getting a positive or negative experience, your post-click experience. Are your pages loading, as quickly as they should? Facebook factors all of this, and it also looks at your previous history and also the ads the potential person or its users have interacted with and had a positive experience with in the past. And based off of all these, which is the auction in terms of your bid, and then the user value in terms of the quality of your ad, the quality of your website, and also your product, which is within your ad, Facebook then determines whether you're going to win the ad. And this is the fundamental breaking point, decision point as to whether you're going to either scale, quite rapidly with your ads, although you should be changing your ads, pretty often, or not. This is the fine point between success and failure on Facebook. And gurus don't really talk about this, but, understanding that, on the one hand, you have the really technical bit, which is, what you're going to bid for. And on the other hand, you have, the user experience, the user value bit, because Facebook it's an arbitrage, really. It's a connector, really. It's got this huge audience, and it's got advertisers that want to reach this audience, and it knows that if it serves its audience really, serves them really crappy adverts, they would use the platform less and less and less. So there's a very, very fine line. So sometimes you cannot necessarily overbid your way out of a crap, user experience. You get to pay a lot, and believe me, I've been here before. So the lessons really, or the takeaways here, is that you should, essentially make sure that you're delivering, a great user experience, from the adverts through to your website, to your landing pages. Try and work on your landing page. Make sure they're the right landing page redirects. Try and minimize URL shorteners. Compress large files. Utilize multi-region hosting to improve server response times. For your images, try and use CDN. If you can, remove render blocking. JavaScript. Just try and get any drawbacks, any bottlenecks, that will prevent users from flowing through and landing on your page, because a lot of Facebook users are mobile users, and they don't necessarily access your website from Wi-Fi settings. So just make sure that your mobile user experience is on a cellular device is when on a cellular connection rather is really high. And one metric you should look at is when you go to the ad level, there's a metric called positive feedback and negative feedback. And believe you me, I've had campaigns that were working, delivering like 5x ROI, returns on advertising spend, and it just dramatically dropped to -1 to not points, whatever, and it was based off on, high negative feedback. So you have to be careful because, Facebook would just refuse to serve your ads to the right audience if you don't get your acts right from the user perspective. Now that we understand that, let's talk about, budgeting in terms of your bids, okay, and your budget. I've talked about the auction. Let's talk about your bids and your budget. Now, Facebook has 3 key ways of managing your bidding on Facebook. One is the automatic. It's the lowest cost. Would I say it's the lowest cost? It's a low cost, way of managing your campaigns, because what you're doing is you're giving Facebook the responsibility, you're handing over the responsibility to Facebook to sort out your bidding in the auction insights. And essentially what you should be doing by yourself is just making sure that your ads are terrific. In this instance, not only that your ads are terrific, that your ads, that your user experience is great. So, and then you leave Facebook to the more technical, side of the equation, which, really is, managing the bids in its an optimal manner. I know of advertisers who are seeing 3 to 5, 6 return on investment just on auto, with majority of their ads running on automatic bidding. So with that being said, you can actually see success because all the other elements within your control are being optimized to the best level. You have a great product, you're delivering great adverts, and your websites are pixel perfect, and most importantly, the user experience on your website are great on mobile devices. So when you're starting out a campaign, I wouldn't recommend you do anything else other than automatic bidding. Really, the benefits is you spend less time maintaining your bid and your bids, and you just. It's effective, to a certain degree. I'd say to 60-70%. It has 60-70% effectiveness, and you could scale with an auto. You could still be spending like $3,000 a day, $3,000 a day, and still see results. Off the back of Facebook, and decent results at that. Now, there's another one called a bid cap. It used to be called max bidding. Basically, you set the bid, right? And what you're trying to set really is you're trying to set the maximum bid, right, you want per result. So let's say I was selling carpets online, and I was using Facebook, and I know that if I acquire a customer for $40, we will still be profitable as a company. So I could set my maximum bid. It's called the lowest cost, it's called a bid cap, basically. So I'll set my maximum bid to that $40 mark, and I would make then what Facebook would do is it would understand that is my position in the market, and it would just run my ads side by side other ads, and it would see if I'm competitive or not in the market. Now, if you set your maximum bid to a very high level, so long as you can afford it, what would happen is you with all things being equal, obviously with quality being equal, you could bully other advertisers off the auction at that point in time. you can get good results with it. But like, if another advertiser who has just as good quality user experience comes and bids higher, higher places a higher bid, then you're going to lose that bid. So it requires a lot of tinkering, and you've got to understand that your effective CPM might rise dramatically over the course of a day. There's a lot of fluctuation, but on the flip side, you can make a lot of returns off the back of a maximum bid. It's just that you have to start to manage your bids effectively, and you need to lever it. You need to understand certain metrics in order to know when you're being outbid in the market. And one key metric you could look at is the CPM, your cost per 1,000 impressions. And also once you understand what your optimal cost per 1,000 impressions is, and also like your cost per result, so if you're trying to get sales or purchases, your cost per result could be another very, very good point, or a lever point. So the bid cap is very interesting. It's an option in at the ad set level, and I'd encourage you to explore it with a bit of, when you have a bit of budget, when you're a bit more comfortable within Facebook. One other thing I have to point out is what's called a budget to bid ratio. So let me give you an example. If like my budget for the day on Facebook is $100, why? And then I'm jumping the gun, and then I set my bid cap to $150. I'm actually doing myself a disfavor, because I've set a bid higher than the money in my account, my budget basically. And Facebook would just sit tight there and not deliver my ads. So you need to make provision for adequate space an adequate multiplier of space between what you bid for and what your overall budget is. So just taking my example again, if like I really wanted to bid for $150 in the ad, in the auction, then I should be looking at a budget of at least 3.5 times the 150. I would even say times 5. Five is kind of like an average point. But if you're looking at it at 3.5 for instance, and you multiply that by 150, you'd be at least trying to set your budget by £525. And if you're looking at 5 times 150, then you'd be looking at like 750 budget. So the key thing with and it may not even work, you still may not be competitive enough. So you really need to understand that, like with your bid cap option, your budget has to be adjusted accordingly. There has to be adequate amount of scale, to allow for it. I know Facebook optimizes quite well when you have about 10 to 20 conversions a day within an ad set. So look at your cost per result, your potential cost per result, and when you set your bid cap, ensure that your budget can get that many results, 10 to 20 results a day based on that estimate. The third way of setting your budget and your bid is called the target cost, and I think it's a very straightforward way, and I like it because if you don't bid high enough, Facebook just doesn't serve. You just don't get impressions. Basically, your ad just tinkers, and the setup of this strategy, this bidding strategy, basically is what is the value of the conversion you're looking for. So if like I know that I only want to spend $24 per purchase for every person who comes to my website to purchase from me, I don't want to spend more than $24. You just set it there as your target cost for that objective, and Facebook would do its magic over the course of the day, and figure out if there are impressions of good quality customers who are likely to buy your product. Facebook would try and work within that constraint of $24 per action, and figure out if you can get customers. If you can't, you'd realize that you wouldn't even spend your budget. So if it doesn't spend your budget, then that's indicative that you should increase the budget. Then it's left to you to decide whether or not it's worth it of a strategy. It's worth it to strategy. It's worth using it as a strategy or not. But what you also want to do is you want to max. You also want to look at your bid, and you want to look at your budget. At a minimum, you want to do like 5x. So if like my budget is $24 per purchase, for instance, if that's what I'm looking to, then the minimum I'm going to set my budget to be $120. And yeah, that's how it really works. And I'm going to put a link to Facebook's guidelines with regards to your budget, the bidding strategy basically. But the reason I'm doing this before I talk about creatives and placements is it's like super important to understand that when you're doing Facebook advertising, you're in an auction, and the auction is determined by your bidding strategy and also the quality of the creatives, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. Yep, so that's it for today. I hope you found this one useful. If you have any questions, do shoot me an email. It's more technical than yesterday, but it is essential nonetheless. And feel free to listen to this episode again if you didn't follow all through. I think it's really important you understand the importance of bidding and also your budget. Cheers for now, and catch you tomorrow. Bye.
So that was a wrap on this week's episode of 2X eCommerce. Remember, you can catch me every week, and also send your questions and comments on Twitter using the hashtag 2XeCommerce. Keep yourself in the loop by subscribing to this podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcasting app. It only takes a few seconds, and it means you'll get the most up-to-date episodes to help you grow your online store. Do have a good one till I catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.